Hey y'all, it's another Getting Real with Ashleydawn. I'm Ashleydawn. I want to get real with you. So I've had a few requests, so I'm going to do one of those right now. I know y'all are probably like, hey, Ashleydawn, you were doing them like every day, and then you're like not doing them every day. Okay, so here's why. When I leave in the morning to go to therapy before I go to work, it's like the sun's just coming up and my drive faces the sun. So literally I'm blinded by the sun my entire drive. And so I would have like a big black box on my face on the way to therapy. And then on the way home, a lot of times it's getting dark and I can't film in the dark. So that's why I haven't been filming as much. I am hoping to film a good bit this weekend because I'm going on a really long drive, and so I can film several in one day. But I've had some requests. I had one request from my god girl, Julie, so I will be doing that soon. And I had a couple requests from Tyler, who's like my biggest supporter besides my mom. And I have had some other requests from Jenny and some of my best girlfriends and spiritual midwives. And so I want to talk to you about just say it. Just spit it out. Let's communicate. Use any one of those titles. But when somebody doesn't tell you kind of the truth, if that makes sense, and they kind of just maybe dance around the subject, or they just pretend like it's not that big of a deal, and you're like, yeah, but it is a big deal. Yeah, but how do you really feel? So the other day I was talking to a friend, and they were being very vague and not really sharing their emotions, not really sharing their feelings, like their true feelings. And I just told them, I said, spit it out. Just spit it out. Tell me what you want to tell me. I teach preschoolers, I teach middle schoolers, I teach high schoolers, and one of the biggest problems is communication. A lot of people were never taught how to properly verbalize their emotions or their feelings. And so some people lash out, some children throw tantrums, they throw a fit because they just don't know how to say how they're feeling. Some adults don't know how to say how they're feeling, and so they lash out, and maybe they're violent, maybe they're angry, maybe they do bad things, maybe they lie, maybe they say mean things, maybe they put other people down because they don't know how to say how they're feeling, so they're just passive aggressive towards others, or they project their emotions on others instead of dealing and processing their own emotions. So this video is basically going to be to encourage you to spit it out. If you are feeling something, spit it out. Say it. If you have feelings, okay, say you have a friend and your friend does something you don't like. I give you permission to be honest with your friend and tell your friend how you feel. If you're dating somebody and you feel some kind of way, I give you permission to tell the other person how you're feeling. I know it's like this crazy idea of like sharing your emotions and sharing your feelings with somebody, and that's like, you know, the craziest thing in the world, but when you're in a relationship, that's what adults do. And so I know that I've dated some guys in the past that I have shared my emotions with, and they honestly didn't know what to do with themselves because they were never taught how to properly verbalize their emotions, how to properly communicate, how to have a conversation and share maybe some difficult topics, maybe some things that aren't the easiest to talk about. And so I just want to encourage you, what is the worst thing that can happen? Granted, I mean, don't be mean and don't say anything that's going to hurt somebody, but say how you're feeling, share your emotions, share your feelings, be honest with somebody, let them know where you stand. Never leave somebody guessing, never leave somebody in the dark, never leave somebody to be like, does this person care about me? Does this person love me? Does this person want to be with me? Does this person want to be my friend? If somebody has to question how you're feeling, it's because you're not doing a good enough job of verbalizing and communicating your feelings with that person. And it could be for anything. It could be for a job. Your boss may not know if you like the job or not. Well, verbalize your feelings. Let your boss know. Maybe if you have problems with your job, maybe if you have issues with a coworker. Listen, that's why most businesses have an HR department, is for you to talk about your job, for you to talk about issues that you have, problems that you have, feelings that you have. I think so many people are struggling with depression and are struggling with burnout because they won't speak up. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was saying that she's intimidated by her boss, and she won't speak up. She won't tell her boss how she feels. She won't tell her boss the issues that she has with her job. And the reason, she says she feels intimidated, but the real reason is she doesn't know how to properly verbalize her feelings in a way that allows her to be truthful but still loving towards others. I have had friends that I thought we were great, and then they just ghost me, and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, well, I wasn't in the headspace to talk to you. Well, you could have said that. Say how you feel. You're entitled to your own feelings. You're entitled to not like something. Verbalize that. Let somebody know that you don't like it. Here's the deal. I go out to eat a good bit. I do like eating out. And so when I eat out at an establishment or a restaurant, or I have a food blog, and so when restaurants and businesses and chefs say, hey, I'd love to host you, I'd love for you to come to my restaurant, and I go, they want to know how I feel about the food. I would be doing them a disservice if I wasn't honest about my opinion of their food. I would be doing any business that I was shopping at or giving my business to, I would be doing them a disservice if I didn't let them know how they were doing. My chiropractor asks me all the time, how am I doing? And there's a review thing that I still need to go do, but that's why reviews are important. When you go on Amazon, before you buy something, most people check the reviews. They check what other people felt about the product they're getting ready to buy. What if nobody ever said the way they felt about a product? That'd be pretty difficult to make a smart decision or a intelligent decision when you're shopping for something if you didn't have anything to go on. Well, it's kind of the same thing in a friendship. If you don't have anything to go on, if somebody is not giving you feedback, if they're not letting you know where they stand and how they're feeling, how are you going to know where the friendship is headed? How are you going to know? It could be a relationship. How are you going to know what the future is of your relationship if you never talk, if you never communicate, if you never verbalize your feelings? How are you going to know? How are you going to progress? How are you going to go anywhere if you never talk? I dated this one guy for a while, and he was like a turtle in that his little head would come out for a little bit, and he'd kind of look around and see if it was safe, and he'd say a few things, and then he'd go back in his shell, and he'd stay there for months on end. And I'm like, how do you feel? Like, I have no idea how you feel. I have no idea what your emotions are, if you even have emotions. Like, can we talk about this? He's like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it. Why? That's not really my thing. I don't really talk about emotions. Oh, okay. Well, that's not healthy, my friend. And that's where I want just to encourage you. This isn't going to be the longest video ever because the sun's going down. But I just want to encourage you, if you're feeling something, if something is on your chest, say it. Verbalize it. Let the people around you know how you're feeling. If you go out to eat and your food is awful, let the waitress know, hey, I didn't really love my food. Could the chef redo it? Then what happens? You get to enjoy your meal. What happens when you verbalize how you're feeling in a relationship? Guess what? You get to work on your relationship, and it'll probably be healthier, and it'll probably last longer. And your needs and your partner's needs will probably be met because you're verbalizing how you feel. You're communicating your feelings and emotions. That is a pretty important part of a relationship, of a friendship, of any kind of two people coming together to do anything. If you're a business, you got to communicate, right? I look in the Bible at the Tower of Babel. What happened when people couldn't communicate anymore? They couldn't build together. Well, it's kind of the same thing. And look up the story of Tower of Babel. It'll blow your mind. But if people can't communicate, they can't understand each other, the building stops. You can't build anything together if you're not on the same page and you're not understanding each other's desires and intentions. Same goes in a relationship or friendship. If you're not communicating right, if I speak Spanish and you speak English or Portuguese, yeah, it's not really like Spanish, but you speak a different language, you speak Dutch or German, right? We're not going to be able to communicate. You're not going to understand what I'm saying. I'm not going to understand what you're saying. That's the whole kind of phenomenon of the love languages. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but if not, research them. But the love languages, it's when somebody is speaking a language that the other person doesn't understand in a relationship. One person feels like their needs aren't being met because they're a quality time person, and the other person isn't spending any time with them, but they're writing them love letters and giving them words of affirmation, but that's not the way somebody receives love, right? So you have one person giving words of affirmation and one person giving quality time, and neither person is speaking the other's language. Well, that relationship is probably not going to last very long because you're not communicating. You're not sharing your feelings and emotions with one another. If you have feelings, verbalize them, air them out, spit it out. Let the people in your life know how you're feeling. If you have a boss who asks you to do things you don't want to do, that go against your morals, that go against your beliefs, let them know. Let them know, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing that. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that is wanting you to do things that you don't feel comfortable doing, let them know, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'm not okay doing that. I'm not okay with where our relationship is. I'm not okay with where our relationship is headed. Verbalize it. Communicate. If you have a teacher, maybe you're a student and you have a teacher and your teacher is asking you to do things that you don't feel comfortable doing. Maybe you're not a public speaker and your teacher keeps asking you to be a public speaker, and that's not you. Maybe tell your teacher, listen, I feel really uncomfortable when you ask me to speak in public. If that's how you're feeling, share your feelings. Your teacher's not going to know unless you tell her or him. Your boyfriend's not going to know unless you tell him or her. Your friend is not going to know unless you tell him or her. Listen, I'm going to give you the greatest advice ever. Assume they don't know unless you tell them. I'll say it again. Assume they don't know unless you tell them. Assume they don't know what you want until you tell them what you want. Assume... He was on his phone texting. Assume that they don't know how you're feeling, okay? The person in front of me. Assume they don't know that the light is green. They didn't know the light was green because they were texting on their phone. So guess what? I had to do a little friendly, hey. And guess what? Now they know that the light is green because they looked up long enough to see it. What would have happened if I just continued to sit there? Nobody else was honking. Nobody else was doing anything. We'd still be sitting at that light. My point is, assume that nobody knows unless you tell them. Assume that they don't know how you're feeling. There is no such thing as a mind reader. That's fake. Other than God, nobody can read your mind. Sorry, it's true. So don't assume people can read your mind. Even if they know you, they may not understand how you're feeling. So tell them. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them how something they're doing or not doing is making you feel. If you want a healthy relationship, if you want a healthy friendship, if you want a healthy life, tell people how you're feeling. You are allowed to verbalize your feelings and emotions. I am giving you permission, but really God gives you permission. He gave you those feelings and He wants you to let the people around you know how the things that they're doing are impacting you. He wants you to be honest about it. Like I say all the time, just be honest, Ash, right? Like my daddy used to say. Air it out. Let the people know around you how you're feeling. Communicate. Use your words. When a child is frustrated, at least in my class, I tell them, tell me how you're feeling. Use your words. Use your big girl words. Use your big boy words. Come on, you can do it. Use your words. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how this is making you feel. sometimes we as adults need somebody to sit us down and say, use your big girl words, use your big boy words. Tell me how you're feeling. Because some of us just stuff it and pretend like it's not real. Well, guess what? The more you stuff it, the bigger the explosion is going to be when you finally hit your breaking point and you finally are just done. So instead of stuffing it, instead of pretending that you're okay when you're not, how about we just tell people how we're feeling when we're feeling it, and then we don't have to worry about a possible explosion down the road. Okay? That's my encouragement. Air it out, spit it out, say how you feel, communicate. Share your feelings, share your emotions. If you don't know how to share your feelings or emotions, sign up for therapy. Seriously, because that is going to help you in every area of your life. You're not going to have a healthy relationship or a healthy friendship or a healthy work environment if you do not understand how to properly communicate. Okay? I love you. More importantly, God loves you. You are seen, you are celebrated, and you are very loved. You are special. There is only one of you on purpose for a purpose. God has big plans for you, even if maybe you don't think that he does. Even if you think that you're not seen and you're like, well, little old me, God's not paying attention to little old me. Well, guess what? Yes, he is. He is paying attention to you. And there is an assignment on your life that only you can fulfill. Nobody else can fulfill it except you. So I just wanted to encourage you. Your life matters. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one.